led her into his magnificent interior design showroom. That day, Amarachi's charm became the soul of the shop. Her grace drew customers like bees to the honey. Her politeness, her radiant presence, and her genuine warmth transformed a quiet business day into a record-breaking one. By evening, Ebuka was overwhelmed with gratitude and pride. As both sat counting the day's earnings, his friend Obinna and also a business competitor walked in. "Ebuka," he called out, clapping his friend's shoulder, "your wife is a rare jewel." They exchanged pleasantries. Ebuka, overwhelmed with joy, spoke proudly, "Obinna, my wife is truly God's gift, and indeed my blessing. You certainly hit the jackpot with her grace and charm. She's amazing." Obinna grinned. "I promised her parents that I would sponsor her education. She has the mind of a queen and the heart of gold," Ebuka said with pride. Every corner of his life. Obinna froze, then slowly turned, his lips curving into a mocking smile. "So you finally know." Ebuka's voice trembled, not with fear, but with all the weight of a wounded heart. "Obinna, why? Why betray me? You were like a brother to me." Obinna laughed, not softly, not nervously, but with the laughter of a man whose conscience died long ago. "Brother," he spat the word like bitter wine. He stepped closer, eyes blazing with bitterness, sharpened into pride. "You want to know why? Why I betrayed you? Why I used Chidimma? Why I stepped into your home?" His voice rose like smoke from a burning field. "Because I was jealous. Yes, I was jealous." The air outside Obinna's compound was thick with June heat, and the sultan of fear, Chidimma, had come for one thing: the urgent mercy of blood transfusion. But what reached her ears at the door was a confession she had not been meant to overhear. She paused by the low wall, pressed close to the door listening. Voice spilled through the crack. Obinna's first, arrogant and uncaring. "I used her, yes." Obinna's voice poured through the wood, unvarnished and cruel. "I planted the idea, fed her the lies, kept her believing it was for us, used what I had, her trust, her foolish love for me as a blade." Chidimma's hand went cold. She waited until Obinna said, "I ran to you, Ebuka, like a brother when my business flattered, and you had no mercy. You married and promised your life to her." Then the door flew open. Ebuka turned in shock. Obinna stiffened. Chidimma stepped into the light like a woman reborn in shame and fury. She pointed a trembling finger at Obinna. Her voice, though broken, carried a terrible clarity. "You used me," she said. The words, sharp as flint. "I accepted your plan because I loved you. I believed you loved me. I followed you because my heart was yours, and you turned me into your weapon. You made me a liar, Obinna, and I paid their home the price of your hatred." Obinna stepped back as if affronted by her moral pain, then said with venomous calm, "You accepted it willingly. Any woman who agrees to pin another man's child on a husband can, in my view, and mark that husband in an instant. You aren't a victim, Chidimma. You are worse. You are devilier than I could ever be." The room held its breath. Chidimma's knee buckled, and she fell to them, sobbing, not from the words alone, but from the realization that the man she had loved had never loved her, only used her as a pawn in a long-nursed bitterness. Ebuka closed his eyes. Even in betrayal, this was a pain no heart should witness. Then the door behind them finally burst open with a new force. Boom! The police, boots hitting the floor, authority and consequence arriving where deception had once reigned. "Who is Obinna Okafor?" Obinna froze, not with guilt, with terror. "You are under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, and money laundering." The words thundered through the room. Handcuffs clamped around his wrists. metal biting into skin. He shouted, wide and desperate, "No, this is not over." But the officer dragged him out of the house into the waiting patrol van. Ebuka watched him with the heavy sorrow of a man who had learned that not every friend is a friend. Chidimma remained on the floor sobbing like a woman whose heart had finally seen the truth too late. 2 weeks after Amarachi was discharged from the hospital, Amarachi healed in the gentle embrace of home. She tended to her children. She prayed softly in the mornings. She stared sometimes at nothing, not in sadness, but in deep reflection. She had walked through fire and emerged not scared but purified. Ebuka watched her with a reverence he had never felt before. For the first time, he saw her not as a wife, not as a mother, but as the backbone of his destiny. Ebuka came to where Amarachi sat one afternoon, her son asleep in her arms. He knelt beside her. His voice was low, unsteady but honest. "Amarachi, I wronged you deeply. I was blind where I should have seen. I listened where I should have discerned, and I abandoned you when you needed me most. If forgiveness were a seed, I would plant a garden at your feet. Please find a place in your heart to forgive me." Tears burned behind Amarachi's eyes, but she did not cry, because strength rooted in God does not always need tears. She simply nodded once, a gesture not of quick forgiveness, but of a heart choosing peace over bitterness. Ebuka exhaled shakily. He motioned towards the gate. A brand new silver SUV rolled into the compound, polished, smelling of new beginnings. Amarachi's breath caught. Ebuka handed her the keys with trembling hands. "This is for the 9 months you carried our son without me by your side." Then, with careful hands, he presented a brown folder, her admission documents, approved and paid for. "And this, because your dreams deserve life." Their daughters screamed with excitement. Joy rose like incense. Just as celebration swelled lightly through the air, the gate crept open. Chidimma stepped in. Her face was pale, eyes sunken from the weight of regret. She knelt before Amarachi as a woman who finally saw her own reflection clearly. Her voice trembled. "Auntie Amarachi, I wronged you. I stained your home. I broke the hands that fed me. Please forgive me." Silence followed. Then Amarachi looked at her, not as a rival, but as a woman who was also broken. She simply said, "May God give you wisdom and a new path." Chidimma wiped her tears, gathered her few belongings, and left the compound quietly. Amarachi watched Chidimma leave and whispered, "Lord, let this pain become wisdom for all of us." That night, as the lamps flittered in the living room and the baby slept peacefully, Amarachi sat beside her husband and children. The home felt born again, not perfect, but healed. There was laughter, gratitude, and peace now. Amarachi, who once broken quietly, now stood whole, with her home, identity, and dignity restored, and her purpose awakened. Chidimma returned to the village, carrying Remus, Nessens, and 2 children who would one day ask for the truth. 2 months later, Amarachi reported to the campus. She had dreamed of this moment once as a girl, then buried it as a wife and mother, and now mourned it as a betrayed woman. But now it was hers again, not as fantasy, but as destiny. She studied late in the nights, her lamps burning long after others slept. She listened with hunger, asked questions with intelligence, and spoke with the measured confidence of a woman who had lived her lessons, not merely read them. Her professors admired her discipline. Her classmates gravitated towards her calm strength. With the guidance she gained, Amarachi opened a tasteful interior and lifestyle decor studio, simple yet elegant, warm yet professional, like the woman who owned it. Where Ebuka's business had once thrived on architecture and design, Amarachi's studio thrived on meaning. She curated spaces that reflected peace, healing, and identity. Customers did not merely buy, they felt, returned, and recommended her. Soon, Amarachi's name traveled further than even she expected. She became known not just for skill, but for grace under pressure. Amarachi graduated with distinction and thus was born a counselor. Women began to come to her. In stores, in markets, after church, they came with broken engagements, homes in chaos, hearts split between staying or leaving, scars from betrayals similar to hers. Her voice became a balm. Her wisdom became a shelter. Her presence became a testimony that strength is not the absence of pain. Strength is who you become after pain refuses to break you. Soon, churches invited her to speak. Women's groups sought her counsel. Homes began to heal in places her words reached. Amarachi did not just rebuild her life, she became a lighthouse for others lost in storms. Standing beside her was a changed man, not perfect, but softened, humble, and graceful. Ebuka saw his wife not as a companion in the shadows, but as a pillar of destiny. He supported her work and honored her identity. The home regained peace, not because one person surrendered, but because both learned. The greatest revenge against betrayal is becoming everything you were meant to be. Thanks for watching.